When you first come to a Chinese city, you will be amazed by the motorcycles on the road, especially in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai, where there are more motorcycles in the suburbs than in the city. If you look closely, you will find many motorcycles of brands you don't know that are novel and powerful on the road. Most of these models are from domestic brands in mainland China, because their prices are relatively cheaper than those of foreign brands of motorcycles and their performance is relatively good. So they have become the first choice for many young motorcycle riders. However, here are a few things you need to know. First of all, why can domestic brand motorcycles in mainland China still rise against the trend in China under the multiple pressures of brand power, durability, and good reputation of imported motorcycles? There are two main reasons. The first reason is China's policy on the service life of motorcycles. The state stipulates that motorcycles that are legally licensed and driven in China have a strict scrapping age. Each vehicle can only be driven for 13 years from the date of registration and license. Motorcycles that are more than 13 years old will be forcibly scrapped and cannot be driven on the road normally, cannot be licensed, and cannot be insured. Of course, if you want to collect it forever, you can also seal this car in your garage forever. Under such a policy, it is almost impossible to buy a motorcycle that can be used permanently, so many young riders have to choose cheaper Chinese brand domestic motorcycles as their own vehicles. The second reason is the high import tariffs. In China, motorcycles from foreign brands are generally purchased through dealer channels, which is commonly known as large-scale trade motorcycles. Regardless of whether it is a motorcycle brand from Japan or Europe and the United States, as long as it is an imported car, it will be subject to high tariffs when entering the Chinese mainland for sale. Coupled with the hunger marketing behavior of dealers, many popular models have to wait a long time for delivery. Of course, if you want to get it quickly, you can also get the right to jump the queue by paying a higher price so as to get it quickly. For example, 2 years ago, the price of the popular Kawasaki Ninja 400 was as high as 50,000 yuan, equivalent to $7,090, and the waiting time was even as long as half a year. To get it quickly, you need to pay at least $700 to get the right to jump the queue. Of course, as the Chinese economy has fallen into a depression in the past 2 years, the price of imported motorcycles has gradually begun to drop to the same price as the foreign market. However, compared with cheaper domestic motorcycles, imported motorcycles are also losing their competitive advantage in the Chinese market and are gradually becoming big toys that only a few wealthy people will buy. Of course, the second reason is that China's domestic motorcycles are getting rid of the old era of poor quality, serious design plagiarism, and poor riding and control texture, and are entering a new era of strict requirements on themselves with international standards. Familiar Chinese brands such as CF Moto, QJ Moto, Cove, and other brands are showing their strength in events such as MotoGP. At the same time, their commercial models are gradually enriching. In the future, I believe that there will be more Chinese brand motorcycles in the international market. As a current motorcycle rider in China, many young people choose to believe in Chinese motorcycle brands like me. After all, this is the best choice to make at the moment. Secondly, as riders riding in China, whether you are from China or abroad, it is much easier to obtain a Chinese motorcycle license than in other countries in the world. Because China's motorcycle driver's license test is very simple. In addition to the theoretical test, you only need to complete the practical test of going around the pole, starting on a ramp, driving on a single-sided bridge, and cornering. More importantly, after completing the practical test, you can ride all motorcycles, ranging from 100cc to 1000cc. In other words, there is no displacement limit for China's motorcycle license. The current driver's license classification is only distinguished from three-wheeled motorcycles and two-wheeled motorcycles. When you get a three-wheeled motorcycle license, which is a Class D license, you can drive all displacement models. The second is the two-wheeled motorcycle Class E license. With it, you can only drive two-wheeled motorcycles, but there is no displacement limit. The second is the Class F license, which is a light motorcycle license. With it, you can only drive a blue license plate light motorcycle with a displacement of 50 to 70 cc, and other displacement models cannot be driven. However, there is no restriction on obtaining a motorcycle license, which means that you can choose to study the top Class E license from the beginning, or you can study the Class F license, but their application fees are different. So this has led to many novice riders in China buying a large displacement motorcycle without much experience, resulting in frequent safety accidents. But the good thing about China's driving test system is that if you are an experienced veteran or a rider from abroad, it will be very easy to get a Chinese motorcycle license. The third thing you need to know about China's motorcycle environment is China's prohibitions and restrictions on motorcycle traffic. China is the only country in the world that has some areas where motorcycles are prohibited, so in many places such as Guangzhou, motorcycles are not allowed to pass. Instead, slower electric bicycles are used. Cities like Beijing and Shanghai have also adopted policies to restrict the passage of motorcycles in some areas. However, in Beijing and Shanghai, you can get the right-of-way on some roads by spending more money to buy a motorcycle license starting with A. In Beijing, the current price of a yellow Beijing motorcycle license is 300,000 RMB, which is about 42,545 US dollars. The price of a blue Beijing motorcycle license is about 120,000 RMB, which is about 17,018 US dollars. With a Beijing motorcycle license, you have the right to pass the urban area of Beijing. In Shanghai, the price of a Shanghai motorcycle license is about 500,000 RMB, which is about 70,909 US dollars. Of course, there are many cities in China that are very friendly to motorcycles, such as Xi'an and Chongqing. In these cities, you can ride a motorcycle to anywhere. Finally, what else do you want to know about the riding environment of motorcycles in China? Leave a message in the comment below and let me know.